on this week on SWAU's amazing YouTube channel, we've got a great guest. And as always, I'm Brian, your host. Remember, hit subscribe, like, and comment. But this guest went from cosplaying to working for Lucasfilms. Dreams definitely came true for this guest this week. It's the awesome Chris Bartlett. Chris, welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, Brian, great to be here. Thanks so much for having me. It's good to talk to you.
Oh, do you know what? I'm so looking forward to this chat because literally your resume on IMDb is crazy. It really is. But we're going to get to the bottom of what you do, the ins and outs, and some of the secrets behind the scenes. So, first of all, what is the actual correct term for what you do? Because there's quite a few terms going around, and I'm sure you've been called certain things. But what's the actual correct term?
I'm an actor, and it just so happens that when you're credited, some productions credit different things. So, based on the specific job that you did on the show. So, as an actor, I have been also credited as a performance artist, which just means that you are contributing to this character with somebody else. So. In the example of Q90, I was the performance artist, which means I was in the suit while Richard Ayoade did the voice, and so he may be credited with Zero as well, just like James Earl Jones and David Prowse, and so that's it. But I'm also a voice actor. I just put it all. It's all acting, whether I'm acting physically or doing a voice or I'm on camera or I'm doing lines behind a mask. It's all acting.
So I'm in awe of everything that you do because as a man in his 40s, I'm a great lover of practical effects. So how important is it to keep things practical on sets?
I think it makes it more relatable to the actor, which then makes the actor's performance more relatable to the audience. I have had to work with blue screens before, and it's just so nice to work with the environment there and other characters there with you. Not all my body parts have been there before, but with the example of Q90, my legs were CG, but I did work with gray spandex legs, but the top half of me looked awesome. I had like bandoliers and blasters and a cool helmet, and but I think like in the case of when we use the volume, when we're on set, the volume is the digital room that we step into, this massive room where it's all set dressed with speeder engine parts and barrels and containers and wires and hoses and stuff, and then on the screen you see you're in an actual hangar, with a you might see the massive side of the ship right there. So what I love about it is it makes it I can focus more on the emotion of the performance and not have to try and imagine also the environment. So maybe that's part of it.
Do you know what? I've always wondered with the volume and how incredible it is. Do you ever see any actors actually walking into it? Because, it is pretty impressive, but it's like you don't know when practical finishes and the volume starts. Or is it different when you're on set? You obviously know where, the screens are.
Well, the walls and the ceiling are gigantic TV screens. And it can be disorienting if you're standing, far away from it. It's kind of hard to see where things are terminating and when screens are starting. But you can walk way up to the screen and you can, look at it really up close. And it looks a little bit like a video game, kind of like a high-end video game. If there might be guys up on the scaffolding welding, ships and things like that. But then when the camera comes over to that section of the screen, they all come into high definition. and that's pretty neat. But I will say, like in Kenobi, we were on a planet that it was at nighttime. I was playing one Jack, which is a Forlom looking character hunting Obi-Wan and little Leia. Um, the city was kind of like a Blade Runner type, city at night. And when you're standing back just outside of the volume and you're looking into the volume, you see all these skyscrapers that go, they look like they're going way up high, but they're really like going up high and then onto the ceiling. And it's just your brain sees what you want to see, which is these skyscrapers. And then when the camera starts moving, everything in the shot has to move in parallax, so that it doesn't look just like a flat TV screen. The environment has to respond to the camera, and so that can be a little disorienting when you're seeing it in person. But when you see it in camera, it looks great. It all makes sense.
It is definitely clever stuff. It really, really is. And it costs a fortune. But more and more shows and movies are using that technology now. So let's talk about you and how did you get involved in the Star Wars franchise? How did it all begin for you?
Professionally, I mean, because I got started as a fan in 1977. I was 7 years old and went to the theater, but and had been a fan ever since. And then when I got into my I don't know, when I was 30, I started building high-end costumes that were just for fun, just for me, so I could go to conventions and mess around, play around as a character, and play these characters just to entertain people that are like people do now, cosplay or whatever. But it wasn't until Steve Sansweet at Lucasfilm saw a video of me in a costume that I got a phone call for an audition. He saw it on YouTube, I think, and they reached out to me. So I had been building costumes for 6 years when I got a call. And like I said, there was no career plan. It was just I was doing this for fun. Yeah. There's always the dream that someone at Lucasfilm might see something that you built and think that it because I was just building Star Wars costumes. It was always a dream that they would see it, might think of it as worthy of notice. But at the time I was just a guy living in North Carolina building stuff in my garage till 2 a.m. I never imagined it would actually happen, but I dreamed it, So, that was sort of how it got started. I built a, Stormtrooper and a Boba Fett and Jawas for my kids and the Tusken Raider. And, it was just all because I was just having fun and I loved making it. I loved building the props and the costumes. And, so it was at one point I spent 3 years building a C-3PO costume and then wore it to the Boston Museum of Science for the Star Wars Meets Imagination exhibit. And, it was the first iteration of it. It wasn't shiny or anything, but I was trying to, I'd been working on the voice, I'd been working on the animation and trying to make it feel as real as possible that to that point. Now it wasn't perfect, but I was just trying it, So somebody had filmed me walking and talking to someone and posted it on YouTube, and then Lucasfilm saw it and gave me a call. So they, but when they called, I didn't have it. I'd spent 3 years building this, Brian, and so when they called, I didn't have it. I had sent it out to be chromed, and I didn't know when it was going to be back. Probably like a month or so. And so when they called, it was disheartening because I'd worked all this time and dreamed of this phone call, but never imagined it would really happen. And then when it did, I didn't have it. So Lucasfilm took care of that for me. They called the Chrome shop and sped it up and flew me out to the Presidio in San Francisco, and they bolted me together and screwed the head together and turned on the lights and the microphone. And I said, "Oh, my goodness, why, hello. I am C-3PO, human cyborg relations. This is my counterpart, R2-D2. I am fluent in over 6 million forms of communication." Anyway, so they said, "Okay, you are going to Australia and you're going to do this event, and we'll see how it goes." And I said,
Wow.
"This is the best day of my life," you know? Um, and so now I've been doing it for 18 years and for them, as well as other roles. And the whole time was my acting school. I was working with other actors and directors, and I just really wanted to do the best job I could in my performances of characters. But that's how it all kind of started, specifically with Lucasfilm.
Well, I mean, C3PO is as iconic as lightsabers to Star Wars, and he has
Yeah,
a distinctive
right.
movement style. So, how did you actually perfect that? Because, physically, it's got to be quite demanding. I mean, is it muscle memory over time? Did you watch
Yeah.
lots of videos of Anthony Daniels? Did you work with him? I
Mhm.
mean, how did you perfect the way of walking and talking?
Actually, yeah, actually, all of those things you just mentioned. There's a lot of footage of Anthony as C-3PO, but the most valuable one was in 1986. Star Tours released a Disneyland released a what's called a media kit, and it was basically C-3PO describing Star Tours, and from a in fiction or in universe perspective, and it's Anthony in the suit, and he's doing all this really great catalog of motion um, that was so valuable to me. So I just watched that over and over and over and over, and then I stood in front of the mirror and I did, yes, yes, like explaining along while listening to it and watching him and doing that. But then when I went to do the Boston Museum of Science, again, I was just a fan. I was doing the work of in the suit, and I met Anthony Daniels. He was there on the opening weekend, and he said he gave me some pointers on how to move to kind of supplement what I'd already been learning. And it's everything is separate. The arms are separate from the chest. The head is separate from the body. Everything moves independently because he's a machine. It's not like a organic, creature. And so that was really helpful. Everything has a termination when you move. Like
Hmm.
yes, yeah, everything. You start with that, and then you can grow or build off of that. So that was something, and also the voice. He when I met with him, he said, "So let's hear you do the voice," and I was, that's a little bit like an Elvis impersonator saying, Elvis saying to an Elvis impersonator, "Oh, let's see you do me," and so um, that's very intimidating. And I was got all tight and hurried, and my goodness, why hello, I am C, and he was like, "Oh, that's pretty good. Let's slow it down." And so I worked on it, and now I've been able to do the voice for Fox Television, Disney Parks, and supplement when he's not available. But I treasure the information and the help that Anthony gave me, and and really feel so lucky and very grateful to be able to help in a little way extend the life of this iconic character that was created by George Lucas and really Anthony Daniels.
I mean, this character is going to go on for many, many more years. So I hope you're prepared if for the long haul. Which is great. I mean, how much pressure did you feel when you first did that first job for Lucasfilms? Putting it on. I mean, it's one thing going to conventions and doing it for the love, but when you know that it's for Lucasfilms, I mean, how much pressure did you feel?
Yeah. Well, I really wanted to make sure I didn't fall down. So, um, but they had provided a voice track by Tom Kane, who did an impersonation of Anthony Daniels, and so I was basically my job was to mime to this voice track. But later, if you go and watch, C-3PO and R2-D2 doing the top 10 on David Letterman, or the Oscar appearance in 2016 with the droids, or things like this. I'm trying to do the best, physical performance that it is unmistakable to Anthony's performance, because we just want the audience to see 3PO.
Mm.
We don't want them to think of who's in the suit this time, kind of a thing. And so, I don't know. I guess I had gotten such a good response from doing it as a fan, and that fans saw it as believable. And I had Lucasfilm's or the endorsement of Lucasfilm in terms of I was cast. So they thought that I was doing a good job. And so by the time I got to it, I felt like I was really prepared, because I practiced so much and for so many hundreds of hours, not only doing the physical performance, but also the voice. Plus, the suit does a really good job of you're already halfway there in your suspension of disbelief, as an audience member. So you expect C-3PO to move the way he does. So anyway, I have full range of motion, almost full range of motion. I can put my arms out like this. I can put them up. I can hang them straight down. I can't scratch my nose, but all of this is a performance. All of the motion is a performance. The suit doesn't make you move that way. There are some restrictions, but you can tell if it's just a person in a suit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just having the the preparation and also the confidence from Lucasfilm was really helpful in not feeling nervous about it.
I mean, when you said that you just didn't want to fall over, I mean, I've had the benefit of actually looking inside, a C-3PO helmet, and I've got to say,
Right.
it's not fantastic in the way of your field of view. When characters go out on appearances, when you go to Disneyland or somewhere like that, they've normally got someone with them to guide them, to walk them places. But say, like, for example, the Oscars, you went on stage and you walked on stage and you didn't have anyone with you. I mean, how hard is that to navigate in that suit? Because when you're on set as well, you've got loads of moving, people, and you've got to hit your marks and everything like that. So how difficult is it?
Other droids. Yeah. Well, we have rehearsals, and so I rehearse without the head on. If you watch the clip on the Oscars, I do kind of a characteristic C-3PO, like he's running away from something, and then he realizes he's in this big room. Oh, this is where I was looking for. This is where I'm supposed to be. And so I do this sort of run on and then stop and then take a couple steps and that kind of thing. That was it was a little bit tricky, because I didn't want to like I said, fall down. But I don't know. I guess I've gotten used to, because you're just looking through drinking straws, Brian. They're they're this big. You've seen in the helmet. They're like this long. They're little tubes about this long, and you're looking through those right here. Everything else is blacked out. So I have gotten good at taking snapshots. This is over here, and that's over there. So like I can take snapshots of what's around me, but also you rehearse without the head on. So and also it was wide open, so there wasn't anything like obstructing my step. But when you're backstage at the Oscars, and there's people and crew and cords and other droids and things like that, that could be tricky. But I've gotten good at like looking around, and it's been, like I said, it's 18 years now, and I've gotten, I practiced a lot. But yeah, there were times when we were doing shows, when I'm working on like the Mandalorian, where I have to do all my own stunts, and sometimes stuff goes sideways. So you just got to take your lumps sometimes,
And we will talk about that, because I've got to say, we see you as so many characters in The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Kenobi. I mean, have you got a favorite character of being in the suit from those?
Yes, great question. 100%. Answer your question, I have surpassed 20 unique characters in Star Wars. They're all featured or main characters, so you'll always see them. And I just feel really lucky to enjoy creating with so many talented people on these shows, including Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, who are just dream to work with. Um, my favorite, 100%, my favorite character is Q90, who was in season 1 of The Mandalorian. He was the when we were breaking the Twi'lek out of prison. He flies Mando's ship, which Mando doesn't like, but his attitude was that he's the smartest being in the room, and that was fun to play. But also, he just looks so cool. I'm just looking for my for a picture of him. But anyway,
Don't worry,
he
by
does have
the
such a
magic of
cool.
editing, I'm going to have a picture come up on the screen.
Oh,
So
great.
by the magic of editing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he has such a sinister looking, it's not a friendly face like, say, C3PO, who always looks surprised. Q90 has a very sinister, bug like, just unsettling kind of visage. So I really loved that. And he had all the cool, like I said, all the cool accessories. And it was, droids in Star Wars are like so typical of Star Wars that when you see a droid on set, it feels like to everybody this is Star Wars. Um, Everything from when I suited up, whenever I go on set, uh, inevitably the director is kind enough to say, "Hey, Chris, you can just suit up to the neck. You don't have to put the head on." Excuse me, and you can come out and meet the cast, and we can go through rehearsal. I never do that. I always go out in the full character with the microphone on, maybe the lights are on or whatever, and I go out in my character because I want the cast to feel also the feeling I would want to feel if I'm on Star Wars and a droid walked out, how magical that would be. I'm not
Mm.
saying that's me. I'm just saying that I'm just trying to help create the fullness of this scene as much as possible, because yeah, we're all playing pretend, but we're trying to make these characters feel as real as possible. So if I walk out and I have this sinister mask on with the bug eyes and I'm glaring at someone while I walk by them, you know I have it can help to warm up the room to what we're doing is so special. So he was my favorite. I got to fly Mando's ship, which is a dream of mine since I've been a 7-year old. I got a cool shootout in the streets of Navarro a couple episodes before, wearing the same costume, and I got to work with Grogu a lot. He was as real in person as he is on TV, and then I got a magnificent death by the hero of the show. So it was everything you'd want, as an actor, playing such a cool bounty hunter character.
To be
He's
honest,
my favorite.
he's my favorite as well, and I love the scene when you're flying the Razor Crest. I mean, being in that cockpit must have been such a surreal experience, and then obviously what you see on screen
Uh,
is the volume and all that effect. That must have been crazy.
yeah, Brian, it's real. You're sitting in a practical cockpit with windshields, and all the console buttons work. So of course I'm like, hey, it turns on. Oh, that one turns on. Hey, it turns off. Wait, do all of these work? All of these work, and the switches all function and everything, and you're just in heaven as the Star Wars fan. So, in addition, you're parked inside the volume. So I'm in a real cockpit, and I'm in this massive room that is all I'm seeing is space. So the stars are like just gently floating, and I'm drifting in space until I say, "Jumping to hyperspace now." And then all the stars stretch into infinity, and it's just the most real day on Star Wars for me, was that those days of filming in the cockpit. I don't know if you've been to any of the Disney parks and flown the Millennium Falcon
No.
or even Star Tours, but it feels very real, and so that was just I just felt like it was the biggest gift to this Star Wars fan to be able to do that. However, I'm also a professional actor, so I'm trying to keep all that on the, we're trying to keep low key, okay, here, and I am actually trying to create a believable living being who knows he's the smartest one in the room and that he's the best pilot, in this side of the galaxy, and anyway, and that he's also a machine, so he has to feel that way. He can't feel like a human having a good time. He's doing a job, and that's what I'm doing. So yeah,
I,
that's yeah.
I
Flying in the
mean,
cockpit was the best day. I've been looking forward to it for the whole season. Yeah.
oh, it's just a great scene. It really is. I mean, you mentioned earlier about stunts. I mean, it's one thing for actors to do stunts in their normal clothes, but then an actor like yourself to do stunts in these droid costumes. I mean, how difficult is that? Because that's got to be quite not only disorientating because obviously you've got the head on, but obviously being thrown about. I mean,
Hmm.
have you got any stories that you can share of anything that may have gone wrong, or some great stories when it went right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yes. In season one, I played the bartender. I'm an RA7 droid, or also known as a Death Star droid to the original trilogy fans. I was the bartender, and there's this big shootout when the client, played by Werner Herzog, gets killed, and the Death Troopers have shot up this cantina. And during that scene, the kind of the gag was I still was delivering the order. I was still delivering the drinks to the table while all this, blaster fire is going and stormtroopers are flying over tables and aliens are dying, and that was the joke, was I was still like, doing my job, and then I'm supposed to get shot at the end and I fall right in front of camera. So we rehearsed that like 7 times. I didn't have to fall on the pad because they were like, just make it over to the pad. First of all, they gave me a little pad that was like this thick, and I had to fall on the heart. And I was like, "Hey,
Mm.
could you give me a little bit more cushy there?" And so we got Ryan Watson, stunt coordinator, got me a bigger pad. But anyway, so we did it 7 times, no problem. All this, orchestra of things happening, and I make it to my spot every time. Now, we're going to wire the whole set with pyro. So now everything's going to start blowing up, and explosives and everything. And one of the stormtroopers at the bar decides to mix it up a little bit, and he spun left instead of right, and we bumped into each other, and in this terrible slow motion feeling, I fall like this on the ground, and totally not where I was supposed to fall. And it was pretty painful because the costume doesn't have any padding in it. There's no room for pads in those, Brian, and and I fell on the hard ground. And Deborah Chow said, "Cut, cut, cut." Her and John Favreau ran over to me and said, "Chris, are you all right?" And I said, "Yeah, I just need to take a break for a second." But how did it look? And they said, "Oh, it looked awesome, but you didn't fall where you're supposed to fall, so we have to, do it again." And so after that, I took a little 15-minute break, and then we were back in it, and did it again, and then through the magic of fun editing, if you go watch that episode again, you'll see me in all this cacophony of like stuff happening. You'll see my character walking and spinning around and then falling, and then I'm up again, and I'm walking some more, and then I fall again. It's just a funny moment that created a lot of action, and then in the behind the scenes on Disney gallery, you can see the actual where I fall and my legs go flying up, and I'm just on the ground there. But yeah, that was the first of several stunts that I didn't realize I'd be doing. But it was that was not my hardest day of filming.
Oh,
There
bless
have
you.
been
And what
others.
has
Yes.
has been your hardest day of filming then? If that wasn't your hardest day, I mean, what was
Yeah.
your hardest day? Because that sounds
The
hard.
the the physically the hardest day was playing One Jack in Kenobi. It he was like the big green eyes. He looks like Forlom, and he was hunting Obi-Wan and Leia. I was on the rooftop shooting at them, and then I'm in the streets, kind of like searching for them. And then I get shot in the alley, and the stunt was I had to get shot, and I was told I needed to fall on the hard ground because the camera was going to show me fall down and and show the ground, so we couldn't have a pad there. So I was like, oh wow, that sucks. But anyway, so the idea was I get shot, I spin around, slam against the wall, and fall and slide down the wall and hit the ground. And so we had to do that over and over and over and over, about 12 times. Little cherry on top is, I'm laying on the ground. They take off the helmet, and Ewan is standing over me, Ewan McGregor, and goes, Chris, are you all right? I said, I'm doing great. Thanks. But it was great that he was so kind to check on me. But yeah, that was the hardest day. And in the end, though, there was one take where I didn't fall on the hard ground because I fell. I took the shot and I'm sliding down the wall, and the suit locks up like at the knees. So I'm still kind of half standing up, and I'm like, but I don't have control of my angle or anything. And so Ewan McGregor and Kumail Nanjiani are still having their conversation, and I'm still stuck like this. And then I go and smash, and it was like the slowest droid death ever, and everyone started laughing. But I thought for sure they're not going to use that one, and in the end, that's the one they use. Is I'm stuck against the wall, halfway leaning over, and then when they cut back to me, I'm on the ground, which is kind of a funny continuity thing. But I thought for sure I want to see this because my dresser Dana, who is a good friend of mine, he said, God, it just looks so violent when you fall on the ground because it's so hard. And so anyway, I would have loved to see that take, but those takes, but that was the hardest day. I mean, you're just falling in fiberglass all morning. And it's like getting a car accident every single time,
Bless you. Am I right in saying that you actually made that costume yourself?
You're right. So I built all the droids that I wear on the show except for Zero.
So all of them except for Zero. See, I didn't know that. That is amazing. That is
Yeah.
absolutely
Thanks.
amazing. And knowing that, and knowing these stunts, why didn't you put more padding in one Jack?
Exactly. I have no one to blame but myself, Brian. That's a great question. One, there's not enough room.
Okay.
But there's no room for cooling. There's no room for fans. There's no room for padding. But it does help to have a plastic butt. So like if you're falling, you have this nice round plastic butt to land on. That helps the old tailbone. But there does get to be a lot of pinching. I mean, Anthony has said that there's pinching, right here, and that is only magnified times 100 when you're doing stunts in the suit. But I can I have tailored the suits to be a little more comfortable, with each iteration. But yeah, there's some things you just can't get around and still look like the character that we're all familiar with.
I mean, the fact that you built all of these suits except for Zero, I mean, how much free reign do you have on the design? Does it get designed with you, or is the design given to you and you make it? I mean, how does that process work?
Some of that is under NDA, but
Okay.
I will say that where all of it is a collaboration. I'm working with Doug Chang or Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni directly, or maybe the director Rick Famuyiwa or whoever's directing that episode to determine colors or designs. fits, or what this character is supposed to, what the range of their motion is supposed to be, and things like that. So yeah, it's a total collaboration. It's not just one, I don't just go off and then come back, and and it's the most fun. I mean, like, also Brian Matthias, who's the concept artist, designing these characters, is so talented, and just has he just has great ideas. So yeah, it's all a collaboration.
I mean, all your hard
I'll
work
give you one
in.
example.
Yeah, go on.
So the teacher droid or sorry, not the teacher droid, the traffic droid in the Book of Boba Fett. Remember the speeder chase, the kind of slow speeder chase,
Yeah.
where with the I'm the droid that is running across the street and almost gets run over by all the speeders. Well, originally they had wanted just basically a chrome silver C-3PO, and we're going to be filming on the sand, and so we have what's called a show and tell day. You go talk about, you show the progress and what it's going to look on set. So, and it was I said, hey, we talked about, I wonder if this is going to be confused for C-3PO, because the sand is reflecting on the silver and it's making it look gold. And ultimately we had to kind of come up with a solution to make that really clearly not C-3PO. And because it's on Tatooine, and he's been there. So anyway, we swapped out some parts, like that. You'll notice his chest is not your typical C-3PO chest. It's a Death Star droid chest. And then we weathered the crap out of it, so it was all greasy and grimy. Of course, my Chrome guy was like, what'd you do? What happened? It was perfect and pristine. And I was like, Star Wars, and then we talked about doing some markings on the suit. So like you'll see like these white deltas, or however they went, I can't remember. And then there's some stripes on the arms and stuff. So it's very clearly not C-3PO. And that's just kind of like how we collaborated on solving problems that you know what I mean by problems. I don't mean like world problems. I mean like solving storytelling problems, and that's so much fun, because it's like, on the one hand you have Dave Filoni, story time with Dave Filoni. On the other hand, we have Jon Favreau, who is like, here's what we're making today. Just think of it in this from this high level, and then you have Doug Chang there, saying like, oh, this would be cool. This would be a really effective idea. It's just every dream come true to work with these guys and girls.
It just sounds like an explosion of, ideas and everything like that. But saying that you built all these costumes, I mean, did you have the ability maybe to take a few of them home to have on your wall, or are they all under lock and key?
I do have some things from, because I have to maintain them and I have to fix them if somebody gets shot and has to fall down in it. I do get to take a lot of things home, different than other actors who play a character and want to take home their lightsaber or something. I am just trying to maintain this stuff, but also I work with the prop department, like Josh Roth, who's the prop master on a lot of these shows. I work with him on some of the stuff. He protects a lot of things, keeps stuff in storage there, and sometimes if I need to fix something, I take it home and work on it. Yeah.
So now you're firmly cemented in the Star Wars universe. I mean, what does that mean to you, having, being that person going to the cinema and enjoying watching the originals and now being part of the universe? What does that mean to you?
It is like exactly how you would imagine it happening to you. What the first day I was filming on Mandalorian, I was playing I don't know if you can see this, the ferryman. This is my first day of filming, was this character. This is one that was built by Legacy Effects. And the ferryman uh, I needed to step up on the frozen pier. I was calling speeders over for Mando and the Mithril. Um, and remember Mando is like no droids, that kind of
Mm.
stuff. So when they first called me over and said, "All right, Chris, it's time for you to go to set," and I'm sitting there set side, and all right, we're ready for you. And you step up onto this frozen pier, and the wind is blowing, and snow and ice is blowing. It's a guy with potato flakes going like this, but still, anyway. And it's when your boot steps foot on that, everything's slowed down to me. All of my life, I've wanted to be in Star Wars, and it happened. And so you have all this excitement that's bubbling up, but you also realize how important it is to be, you know, and how special it is to be working on this. And so you kind of like temper that. But another example is the time I was going to be, flying the Razor Crest as Zero. I'd been looking forward to that because I had the script. I knew it was that day was coming, and I was so excited the night before that I could not sleep. It's like when you're super excited for Christmas the next morning and you're 6 years old. Um, I couldn't sleep. Now keep in mind I'm like, I don't know, 48 at this point, and I'm just like a kid inside. So by the time I got to set the next day, I was a little tired, but still riding this adrenaline of this is the day where I fly a spaceship in Star Wars. And so they, Deborah Chow and John Favreau said, "All right, Chris, you can go get familiar with the cockpit." And I was like, "Good, I'll be right over here doing that." And they're working on another shot. I'm over there by myself. It's low lit. It's quiet over there. Nobody's over there. I'm messing around with all the buttons on the console and everything, and I'm sitting in Mando's seat. I'm in the Zero costume without the head on, and I'm just had this big sigh, like, whew, and then I passed out. I fell asleep in the chair and in Mando's seat in the Razor Crest, and I didn't realize I had passed out until um, Deborah Chow and John Favreau came up behind me and said, "All right, Chris, we're going to be here's what we're going to be doing here," and they started explaining something, and what I heard was, "Chris, Chris, are you all right?" And I was like, "Oh, yep, I'm right. I'm good. We're fine. Are you fine? We're all everything's all fine here. I'm awake. I was not asleep. We're ready to go. You ready to go?" And so that's kind of to your whole life of fandom flashes before your eyes, and everything is like this is the dream. Not only being an actor, but being an actor in Star Wars, and being an actor in Star Wars flying a ship. So it was just meant so much to me, and I just feel so lucky to be part of it.
I mean, talking about fandom, I mean, the fans of Star Wars are probably one of the most dedicated group of people ever. I mean, you do conventions and you meet fans. I mean, what's it like meeting the fans? And have you got any fan encounters that will always stay with you?
Oh yes. The thing I love about conventions, we do those in between filming, is you get these really pure moments with people. Pure moments of where we both kind of lose ourselves in the excitement and fun and wonder of the show that we love watching and the characters that maybe we play. And when we're talking about those things, I really try to bring out the character in someone's. Let's say you come in costume, okay, Brian, you built this Mandalorian costume, and but you've worked on it for a year and a half, and you're hot in it, and you're just trying to walk around without falling down, and then someone says, "Wow, Brian, you look amazing," or "Wow, Mando, you look amazing. Can I get a picture with you?" And it's all you can do to be like, "Okay," and you look like you're waiting for a bus, right? And so I just say, hey, Mando, I'm going to give you just a little pointer here. What I want you to do is I want you to feel the energy for just this one moment for the photo, and then you can take a break. Feel the energy of who you are right now. You are the Mandalorian. So I want that presence of your, maybe you're scanning the crowd, like Mando does, or maybe you've seen something and now you're gonna shoot. Let's take a picture of that. And so I do these little reels with people in costume because what they built is a costume, but when they're in it, it's a character. When you are a living thing inside of a costume, now you are a full-fledged character, and like, let's see the energy of the character. And so I do these little clips and reels, and I call it collecting characters. And then I put them all together in kind of like an extended reel, put some music to it and edit it together, and then post it on my Instagram at Chris F. Bartlett. And then we get to see characters, not just people in costumes. So anyway, that's what I love about I love seeing people in costume, and I love to bring that out in them. And a lot of time, I mean, every time, I've never had someone not want to play along. They always want to play along, and it's really fun. So the other thing, Brian, about these conventions is I talked about those pure moments. um, I had great parents. I have great parents. They both were so encouraging of me to explore. I was a very exploratory kid, and I was always trying stuff or building things, or very creative and drawing and things like that. And so they always encouraged me and inspired me to follow the stuff that I like to do and that I'm good at. So when I meet kids or adults who have something that they're passionate about, I always encourage them to, if there's something that just brings so much joy to your life, just keep doing that. It doesn't matter if there is a career path. It doesn't matter if, how you're going to make this worth, a worthwhile thing. If you enjoy doing it, keep going. Usually it's like drawing or playing an instrument or acting or building costumes, any number of things. And the best moments I've had is seeing a person feel for the first time that they are validated to be able to do that, or that they maybe have never heard someone encourage them to keep doing the thing that they really love doing, but maybe it's not really practical, or maybe it's kind of nerdy or whatever. And so you see someone have that realization, and more than a few times I've seen tears, and those are happy, I'm home kind of tears. And so I just really love those kind of moments with fans.
Have you ever been over to the UK for a convention yet, or is that in the works?
I haven't been, and I would love to go. I've been to Germany, in Cologne, Germany. I did a show called Power of the Force, and that was an amazing experience. But I would love to come to the UK, because that's the birthplace of a lot of the original trilogy over there,
Mhm.
Pinewood Studios and Elstree Studios. So, but besides that, there's a whole bunch of fans that I would love to talk to and see their creations and hear their stories too. So I
I
hope
think,
that
yeah, I mean,
I
I
hope there's
think the
a
cosplay
show.
community now is just leveled up, I've got to say. I mean, the
Mm.
amount of work and the passion. And the thing I like about Comic Cons is that it's just one big, massive room full of nice, supportive, friendly people. They're all there thinking
Mm.
the same, they want the same
Yeah.
experience, and it's great. Before I let you go, what is next for you? I mean, you probably can't say because of NDAs, but could there be a potential role for you in the new Mandalorian movie?
Well, none of us like spoilers, and I'm the same. I'm the same way. I'm sure you are too. So,
Mm.
I'm really excited. We've been fans forever, so I'm really excited for this new season of Star Wars, whatever that looks like. And I think we've gotten so many cool stories with, Ezra Bridger in
Mhm.
Ahsoka, and there's so many new things that we get to learn about Grogu. That I mean, he's still a character of mystery, isn't he?
Mm.
So I'm really excited for what's coming next. There's also a show um, called Skeleton Crew that's going to be coming next. I that was filming while we were filming, I believe, Mandalorian season 3. So I'm not in that, but I'm really excited to watch it. It's been described it's a we always see Star Wars with a group of adults, and
Mm.
this is Star Wars with a group of kids, but it's not a kids show. It's not a kiddie show.
Mhm.
It just happens to be that the main characters are kids. So like Stranger Things, like Goonies. I'm not saying that's what it's like. I'm just saying the idea. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to that stuff, and can't wait to see what happens with Mandalorian and Grogu for sure.
I mean, who would have thought, hey, back in the late 70s when we had the original Star Wars, that now we have got a whole new, universe full of characters, stories. It's just fantastic. But you know what, Chris? Thank you so much for coming on to the show, to the SWAU channel. All the viewers, please hit subscribe, like, and comment. Chris, I'd love to have you on in the future for future projects, but thank you so much.
You're definitely welcome, Brian, and thank you. I would love to come back. I love doing the work that I do with the Autograph Universe, and hope to be able to see you again. So thanks so much for the time today.